This is episode X, Crossing Paths. Feeling connected is a basic human need, as vital as air, water, and food. I'm here to talk about bridging the gap between ourselves, our friends and family, life partners, and anyone we come in contact with so we can more fully experience connection. Hey friend, I'm so glad you're here. Whether it's because of this podcast or some other reason, you and I have crossed paths, and I'm so grateful that we have. Especially for this episode, where we talk about the friends that we have in life. First of all, though, some heavenly news. The time this airs, Thursday, March 2nd, it is Dr. Seuss's birthday. I don't know why, but his specifically I always remember every year. Maybe it's because I'm in the teaching profession. I don't know. But just know that it is his birthday. I feel like that's one of the things that heavenly news will be for in heaven is announcing people's birthdays. I may be some of the few, or maybe you're like me. I really like my birthday, so there's that. You may or may not know that I'm a word nerd, and so I like to throw that in every now and again, usually by way of an acrostic poem. So today's, of course, is using the word friend. So I'll go through each letter and kind of reflect on what that means to me and some examples of that in my life regarding friendship. F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. Okay, no, don't worry, I won't riff on SpongeBob. But F is definitely for fun. I love the quote, shared joy is double joy. Shared sorrow is half a sorrow. Man, friends, they're just there for you. They're there to have fun with you. They're a listening ear. They're your pal. They're just to joke around with. I love having fun with friends. Anytime I need to pick me up, I always have someone I can go to, and I love that. When I was reflecting on who I could share as an example, what came to mind was those neighborhood friends, the ones that live very close by, next door, across the street, the ones you can just call up or go on and knock on their door. I remember I had my friend Leah. She was just across the street from me in Idaho, and we would spend countless hours together when we were done with our chores and if it was a good time, but we were just there for each other. And then when I moved to Utah, in my neighborhood, I had Sierra and Tia. They were a year older than me, but it didn't matter. We hung out all the time. Again, we were in the same neighborhood, so it was just really easy. We would see each other at school too, but they were there. They were from my stomping grounds. My biggest core memories of friendship come from those foundational neighborhood friends. R is for reciprocity, and that comes from the word reciprocal. You both do things for each other of your own volition. It doesn't feel one-sided. It's not forced or contrived. There's an equal effort there, sharing, kindness. My friend Kaylee is an awesome example of this. She's always texting me to see if we want to go grab dinner, asking how I'm doing, seeing if we want to have a play date or get together. And I love that because often in certain relationships, I feel like I'm the initiator. I'm the one that's kind of dragging the friendship along, and that's not how it should be. Again, it should be give and take, equal participation there. I is for insightful. I have so many friends that are a great sounding board. We learn from each other. We take the time to really get to know one another. We're collaborative. Some friendships are more accidental and others are more intentional. I say this because my friend Kimberly came to mind for this one, and she and I were placed together as mission companions, and so we spent a lot of time together, and again, it was kind of a forced friendship, but it grew into one that I love and cherish to this day. We had a common purpose and a common goal, and I feel like that brought us together. It wasn't easy all the time. We definitely had to get around each other's quirks and weaknesses, as you would expect, but we look back on it and laugh these days. E is for energy. Within a friendship, I look for someone who gives me a boost when I'm with them. Being with them just lifts me up, and they're encouraging, and it's a positive experience. Not to say they can't share their troubles, of course they can, but it's more of let's work this out together, or I'm here for you kind of vibe. And again, it just is great being around them. The people who came to mind for this one were people like my mom and my friend Amy and Rhonda, other motherly figures in my life. I just feel like when I'm with them, I can take on the world again, and they're there to help and support me, and it just brightens my day. N is for non-judgmental. You're not worried about yourself when you're with them. It's sort of a low maintenance activity. You don't have to overly prepare or get ready or do something that's outside of you. It's just come as you are. They'll accept you. They're your ally. They're so supportive. All of that just encompasses the non-judgmental vibe of a friend, a true friend. And the one who came to mind for this was Alex. I've probably shared about her before, but she was a college roommate of mine, and she moved to Idaho and we moved to Idaho. We moved back to Utah and she moved back to Utah, and she lives 6 minutes away from me, and I just always feel like we can just pick up where we left off. It's a comfortable friendship and we can just truly be ourselves. D is for dependable. While friendships come and go, this person is there for you during that phase, however long it lasts. If it lasts your whole life, if it just lasts for a short period of time, again, if it comes and goes, regardless of that, you can ask them for help. They're loyal. They'll keep your secrets. My friend Brittany is an example of this. She lives in Idaho, so I don't see her as often as I used to, and I miss that. But while I lived around her, we had each other's backs. We were there for each other. I could depend on her. There are so many good characteristics of a friend. So just to recap, the ones that I had chosen were fun, reciprocity, insightful, energy, non-judgmental, and dependable. What are the things that you value in a true friend? It's amazing that you can see this in all cultures. Friendships are so important. They're one of the most important relationships throughout a person's lifespan. And it's almost hard to put into words because by over-defining, it kind of sounds robotic, or you reduce it to a formulaic approach. What I mean by that is, as I was looking up qualities of a friend, this diagram came up and the wording was just so funny that I'll share some of the examples. And I'll try to read them in my most monotone, robotic voice. Mutual exchange of good deeds that benefit each other. Excitement that is mutually shared. Shared joy and emotional concern for each other. Reciprocal kindness that facilitates collaboration. A complementary pairing of two like-minded souls. Recognition of contributions jointly made by each other. Anyway, I could go on, but like I said, it's not like that. It's so much more dynamic and lively and connective. It's not something that you can put in words or tell someone how to be. It just kind of is innate within us. Hopefully throughout this season, with any of the episodes, you've been able to reflect on the important people in your life. For the last part of this episode, I'm going to go through a quick timeline of my friendship and life. And I broke it into 3 parts, all starting with the letter A. There I go, word nerding again. So the first one is age 10 and younger. The second category is adolescence. And the third category is adulthood. So with age 10 and below, it was a bit of a roller coaster. This phase of life was when I moved. I moved when I was in 4th grade, when I was 10. And that kind of shook things up. I had to exercise that muscle of making friends and being in a new place without knowing anyone. Fortunately, it was a few years before middle school, so I had a few elementary school friends to bring with me into that scary time of middle school. In adolescence, junior high was great. I really enjoyed that time of my life. High school was not the best, as you might know or remember from some earlier seasons when I shared some stories. Part of it was because my high school split when I was a sophomore, and so I lost some friends, and then there was some other drama in there. But then college came, and that was a huge blank slate. I was sort of able to recreate myself. I had some awesome roommates who were really social, so I made a ton of friends. I made a pact with myself that in each of my college classes, I was going to sit by someone and decide that they were going to be my friend. And it worked for the most part. I made some really good friends that way. We just connected through being in the same class and showing up around the same time every day and getting to know each other beyond class. And I, of course, met my husband in college. We were definitely friends first, before we were lovers. And now in adulthood, I've always seemed to gravitate towards older people, and now even more so, but luckily that age gap gets smaller and smaller as you get older. I'm in the phase where I so appreciate mom friends, people who are experiencing the same type of thing that I am, that they can commiserate with me and celebrate with me and just get through this trying time of life. One of the main reasons I started this podcast was to try and create a support group for women. Again, to get us through this adversity, this hard time, this tricky school called life. Come join with us on the Facebook group if you haven't already. A is for Adversity. I'll end with a quote. True friends aren't the ones who make your problems disappear. They're the ones who won't disappear when you are facing problems. And that's from Higher Perspectives. Thanks again for being here, friend. It means so much that you would take some time out of your day to listen to this podcast. If you haven't already, take a moment to leave a review. Speaking of reviews, I wanted to share one that I got on January 28th. It says, "Love this podcast. I love that she is so real and vulnerable in this podcast. There is something in here everyone can relate to. Keep it up." And that's from C. Maynor 83. Thank you so much for that review. Leave one of your own, and you might hear it on the next podcast episode.